What's up guys, Kalian here. Today I got 10 medieval style fantasy RPGs for you. Let's take a look. First up, we got Tales of Arise. This is the newest game in the Tales of franchise, and with this title, they really pushed the envelope for the Tales games, which was really important. They had to do that. This has a massive update to visuals and combat, but they kept the storytelling that made the Tales of series good in the first place. Tales of Arise provides one of the best RPG experiences out there. The game is beautiful, with vivid colors that really pop off the screen, characters and story that are memorable, and a combat that is fluid and fun, and pretty easy to get into, but has some depth there. You can't ask much more out of an RPG. This game really hooked me. The story and the characters are so good. You just care about them and you want to get involved in their stories. Even some that maybe you find annoying at first kind of grow on you. This game is worth a shot. It doesn't cost much anymore, so make sure you check out Tales of Arise. What is there to say about the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim that hasn't already been said? The world feels huge and alive, even though it's not the biggest world anymore, but it has so much to explore, so much to experience. Truthfully, there is so much that is standard in open world games now that comes from Skyrim and the other games that Bethesda has put out. The way you can meander into a random town, a dragon comes in and lands on a building, burns down a couple of people, you kill the dragon or make it fly off or whatever, and then you find out that one of the people that died was a quest giver, and now that quest is dead and gone. It's just kind of a crazy world. It's super fun. There's so much to do. All the little side stories and content that you can experience, or just bypass whatever you want. There is so much to do. It is a great game. It is really fun. The main story is good. The side stories are even better. And just the amount of freedom and choice in Skyrim is so engaging. You got hundreds of hours if you want them. It's a great game. If you haven't already given it a shot 3, 4, 5 times, I highly recommend giving it a shot. All right, next up, we're talking Final Fantasy. Now, if you remember the original Final Fantasy back on the NES, and then being so excited when what was back then Final Fantasy II came out on Super Nintendo. Oh, it was amazing times. And then we get Final Fantasy III. Oh, the storytelling in that one. Those games are so good. And you remember that, then you're old, like me. But the world these games created is the very reason I love RPGs in the first place. I love these characters. I love the stories they tell. Now, of course, we know that 2 and 3 aren't really, right? Those are 4 and 6. And now you have this whole Pixel Remaster collection coming. And it's got 1 through 6. Some of those games were really hard to get. I didn't play all of them, right? 2 and 5 in particular were really tough to get here when I was younger. And I just never went back around to get them when they became more available. But now, they're all here on modern consoles, or will be soon. You can get them on PC now, consoles are coming later. It's a remaster of these games you grew up on that, they're so beautiful. The stories they tell are so good, the characters are amazing. And now, to be fair, right, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you might start with 7 or something. And 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, coming up with 16. So many Final Fantasy games are available on modern consoles now. But the truth is, kind of the 1 through 6 are really the only ones that stayed in that medieval, with maybe 9 is the exception. But the other ones kind of went off in a little bit, other fantasy genres. Now they have some of that included, so absolutely those are all great games. Pick any one of them, they're great. But 1 through 6 are coming out for consoles this year, and they're so good. They're so good. So I recommend all Final Fantasy games. I think all of them are worth a shot. But since these are the medieval style ones, make sure you can grab one of them. They come piecemeal, or you can grab the whole collection. You know, whatever suits you. But for one, I am super excited to go back and play all 6 of these. Next up, we got The Witcher 3. Now, The Witcher 3 is regarded by so many as one of the, if not the best video game ever made. I don't personally subscribe to that moniker. It is a fantastic game though, and it incorporates all the elements you could possibly want. A protagonist who is compelling, a story that draws you in a world that's itching to be explored. The game is massive, easily can wrap up like 200 hours or more. Now, a little side note on this one, it does have a lot of language and nudity. So, for a lot of you probably don't care, that's great, no big deal. If that kind of stuff bothers you though, there's a lot of other games on this list, so you can check one of those out. But this game does have a lot to offer. It has the combat is probably its weakest point, but I still don't think it's bad. I don't know why people get upset about it. I think it's fine. It could be a little clunky, but it's still good. And the magic system and the different options and the exploring the world, I mean, there's just so much here. There's so much to get involved in, and it is a great game, a great story. And if you're looking for a big medieval fantasy RPG, I mean, you just don't get much bigger than this one. Next up, we got Dragon Quest XI. Between the art style and the music, it's difficult to be angry at anything when playing this game. The characters are full of life, and the towns are lively. They're varied and they're fun. The music and the combat is pretty simple, but it has a level of depth there that you wouldn't expect at first glance. The story is super compelling. It even made me tear up once or twice. The characters just feel real. They feel like you know them, like they're your friends. It's crazy. There's just so much to this game that is enjoyable. It's fun. It gives the medieval and fantasy genre a upbeat to it, right? And it's just so good. It's just so good. And so if you haven't played, this is one of the great RPG franchises, and in my opinion, this is one of if not the best of the franchise. Probably the best in the franchise. And you owe it to yourself to give it a shot. It is a great game. And just remember, when you think you're done with this one, you're not. Keep going. You'll thank me later. Coming up next, we've got Diablo 3. Now, Diablo 4 is right around the corner, coming out this June. But you can whet your appetite now with its predecessor in Diablo 3. Now, this game offers a stupid amount of content, okay? You were talking hours upon hours. I know people who put in over 1,000 hours into this game. So there is a lot here. Now, you don't have to, but there's so much to do with all the different characters and the areas you can go into. There's a lot of game to dive into if you want. You get to you go into combat, develop your character, and of course, dive into the loot game. That's what Diablo is all about. Destroying the enemies, getting new loot, putting on new gear, off, on and on and on and on and on. And that loop is the thing, man. That's what gets you. Is every time you finish out like a level, and you're just like, oh well, I think I could do the next one. Or I can push it. I can get the next piece of armor or whatever. The next move. I just need a few more kills and I'll level up again and get another attack, whatever. I mean, it just grabs you. So pick a class, you start hacking away, and for a chunk of time, that combat is simple. It's just that loop. But as you draw closer and closer to the end, the real game starts, and you'll notice every little detail, all the fine details, starting to min-max your character with the exact move sets and buffs that you want from your armor and weapons. You can get sucked into that like nobody's business. On top of that, all of this can be done by yourself, but you can also do it with up to 3 friends. So if you're a social gamer, then man, you guys can do this together the whole time, just experiencing the game together. It is an awesome time, so check it out. Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War come as a pair here. The 2 games regularly go on sale and can cost less than $20 for the 2 of them. So I thought it'd be worth putting them together. Now, the Shadow games are taking you into Tolkien lore, right? And you explore Middle Earth, fighting hordes of enemies, and all of it with the WD's patented Nemesis system, which they shouldn't have patented. That's really sucky. But whatever. This makes for kind of a unique, at least somewhat unique experience every time because of the way the Nemesis system works, and how enemies come back, or you come back at them, and the enemy hierarchy changes and moves. It's a really cool system. The action combat in this game is really where it's at, though. It's visceral and dramatic. I mean, it turns regular combat into a cinematic adventure. It's really pretty incredible. These games, though, are super cheap now. They're a little bit older, but they're not super old either, right? But these games have a tremendous amount of game, especially if you put the two of them together, and there's just so much to do in this. Not as varied as some of the other games, but the story and the combat of this game are just so incredible. And some of your experiences, like fighting a big ogre and running up around the castle walls and dropping like a giant thing on its head, and then jumping down and stabbing and taking out the orcs. I mean, it's a good time. So make sure you give that a shot. You'll have some fun. Continuing on with that kind of double feature idea, we've got Assassin's Creed. Now you got either Odyssey or Valhalla. Odyssey gives you the kind of Greek-Roman vibe, and then Valhalla gives you the Vikings. So really, any of the three are a good option. They're all massive. They are huge. There's so much to do in all of them. There's so many places to explore. The world is huge, and there's just so much. They have mini games and combat and story and side quests and gear and all kinds of things. Crazy big worlds with tons of systems to get engaged in. You don't get to create character in these. You kind of pick one. In Origins, you get your character. You're given that one. In both Odyssey and Valhalla, you get to pick between the male and female option, which is pretty cool. It's a good thing that they added there. And frankly, the female option in both is arguably better than the male. They're really, really good. And so you have options there, but these games just offer so much to sink your teeth into, so much to go after, and they're really, really fun. So give it a shot. Don't let anything put you off. I know some people don't like the newer versions, these RPG versions. That's okay. You might. Some people really, really love them, right? So just like any game, it's kind of up to you. But I think there's a lot here to get into. So check them out. Coming up next, we've got Divinity Original Sin 2. Now, Divinity Original Sin is what's known as a CRPG, which surprisingly just means computer RPG. It's kind of dumb, but it's okay. But nowadays, most understand that to mean that it has a certain style of gameplay, that it plays similar to like a Baldur's Gate. Okay, that's kind of where it's at now. Divinity is one of the highest rated games on the marketplace. It's detailed, engrossing narrative, an incredibly deep combat system, just is so breathtaking. It just draws you in. Sometimes it's overwhelming with the amount of choices, but if you can kind of push through that, then you have one of the most amazing gaming experiences, let alone RPG experiences here. It is available on consoles, even though it's that CRPG. And the controller setup is pretty good. It's pretty good. It works just fine. So it's totally playable on console. And if you have yet to play this one's not really expensive either. So give it a shot. Go pick it up. It is so good that even if you don't like this style typically, I still recommend it. There's guide videos and stuff out there if you need some help. But once you get into it, I think you'll find your own way. And just don't give up. Go play it. And along with that line, we're going to keep that theme because the next game we're talking about is Elden Ring.
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
Elden Ring is the newest outing from FromSoft, an extremely talented developer who is best known for Dark Souls. Now, if you're worried about that Dark Souls style and difficulty, I totally get it. I was too, frankly. Elden Ring will push right past that. You won't care about it anymore. The world is so gorgeous and the art style is completely breathtaking. It's incredible. The world just draws you in. The ability to move away from something difficult and go like level up somewhere else really helps with that kind of Dark Souls difficulty. It gives a little levity there. Plus there's so many great guides like Fighting Cowboy or someone who will walk you through that whole game. And so, you know, it's okay. You can get through it. Elden Ring tells a story in a more abstract way than most of the other games on this list. But there's still some incredible story here. It's enough that it's a pull. You want to find out what is going on. But of course it is kind of that FromSoft stuff, right? So the combat, the character builds, you get so focused and engrossed in that's what you care about. You're looking for the next set of armor, you're looking for a new weapon, and then you find a weapon that's completely different stat requirements than the one you're using, and now you're rethinking all of your stat choices, and maybe you need to go and respec so you can get this weapon, right? I mean, just so many cool moments. The dragons and the enemies you fight, they're cinematic and incredible, and the feeling you get when you overcome that challenge, that boss, is just incredible. Cannot recommend Elden Ring enough. Even as someone who's not a Souls fan, I didn't come in as a Souls fan. I know so many people that came in not as a Souls fan and have fallen in love, and it makes you fall in love so much that you even want to go back and try the others. I did Elden Ring first, and then I came back and went all the way back to Demon Souls, and now I'm working through Dark Souls, and I'm telling you, it gets you. There's a reason FromSoft is a beloved developer. There's a reason Elden Ring won Game of the Year. Okay? This game is worth it. Don't get worried. Okay? Give it a shot. I promise you won't be let down. There it is, guys. 10 medieval fantasy games you can play right now. If you enjoyed this video, would you hit the like button? It means a lot to me. It does a lot. It helps out a ton. And let me know if there's a game you think I missed. I know there's way more than this, right? There's tons of medieval fantasy games out there, and maybe we'll make another video. And so if you want to tell me games that should be on the list, make sure you put it down there, and I'll try to include it on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like videos like this one, consider subscribing. We'll hang out together. It'll be a good time. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good one.